Hey, what's up guys, Tabernacle here, and in today's video I've got a guide for you on how to play Astra, so let's jump right into it. So for her utility, she has Gravity Well, Nova Pulse, Nebula Dissipate, and Astral Form / Cosmic Divide. Well, first off, I'm not going to read all of them because there's been a bunch of videos explaining like all of her utility, and that's not what I want to do with this guide. I just want to explain like strategies and not waste time on utility. So Astra is a controller, which means she puts down smokes just like a Gnomon and a Brimstone, but she has 5 charges of stars, and you can only put 2 smokes at a time, which leaves you 3 extra stars to place around the map and use for stuns, gravity wells, and smokes after a cooldown. So on defense, you want to use her, I like to see her almost as a sentinel. You play on a site, you put down some smokes for you and your team, so like here for example A main, mid, or cat, whatever, and here, depending on what you think the other team is going to do. It's very important when you play Astra that you try to figure out what the other team is going to do and really work with your team to put down stars at the right time, because you don't want to waste them. So that's the controller part of Astra. Now to the more sentinel part, if I can say it like this. You can place traps. It's a trap on the sites that you think the enemy is going to go. So if I think they're going to go A, I can place some stars just outside my smoke like this. And then I'm going to wait for my teammate playing on cat to call out if he hears some noise. If he does, I pop my smoke. If he doesn't, obviously I don't. But it also depends on utility that the enemy is going to use. So if they dart or they drone or whatever, they flash, you pop your smoke. Now your 2 stars, the enemy cannot see it while your smoke is up. So I'm gonna place down the smoke again. So if I pop my smokes, they're pushing in my smoke. They're probably waiting for a Phoenix flash or whatever, if they're committing to the site. Well, that's your cue for popping your combos. So if a Phoenix flashes out, well, you're gonna pull and stun at the same time. So I'm in the smoke, and then I'm a Phoenix here trying to flash. Well, he flashes, I put this. Now they're stunned outside of the smoke, they're exposed to the whole site. You can peek from any angle on site, and they're vulnerable and stunned. Very powerful combo. And this combo is even more powerful if you play with your team, because your team can flash the people that you pull. They can you can have a Killjoy Molly in your pull. It's a very powerful utility. It's almost like a sentinel. It stops pushes. So the combos are really powerful. If you guys have seen my montage, I made like a 2-minute montage showcasing like how the combos work, and basically just showing how good it is. So if you want examples of what I do, it's all in this montage. So another thing you can do with the smokes, actually with the dissipate ability, is you can do the smoke drain. At the beginning of the round, you're going to place stars. I like to do it in mid because it's very open and you can just kind of run, and people tend to not hear you as much as like running A main, for example, some stuff. And you just want to take them back and run into them. Just like this. You reposition yourself. It's a very dangerous thing, but it works like maybe once or twice a game. And the good thing about this is that if you do this once and it works, then a couple rounds later, you can just do it again, but don't actually go through your smokes. And that's where the mind game starts to come on the other team. They don't know if you're going to push through the smoke. They're going to get scared. Just kind of like a Gnomon TP. You place down some smokes, you TP, and you try to leave the enemy guessing where you are. So really good for that. So one crucial thing you're going to need to know if you're going to play Astra is you need to work with your team 100% of the game. You can't just pick Astra and do your own thing and not talk. And if your team is not talking back, well, that's a worst case scenario for you to play Astra, because you need comms for timings on your utility, you need them to call you out like, hey, I need to smoke B main. Well, your cooldowns are super fast. Like I can play anywhere on the map and place a star in B main, for example, in like 2 seconds. But you need to know when to put them down. So this is where the comms really come in clutch. Alright, so now we've covered the defense part of Astra skill. Now let's cover the retake part. So they've taken the site, you need to retake it. Now obviously you're gonna have used some stars in the round, maybe 2, 3. When playing Astra, you really need to learn how to use your star properly and have a good economy on your stars, because you only have 5 per round. It looks like a lot, but if you just use them randomly and not work with your team to use them at the proper time, you're gonna burn through them in like a minute, and then you have nothing for post plan. And Astra skit is super powerful on retake. So for example, I'm retaking A. Well, you want to first off smoke just like a normal smoker would do. So probably just A main here. So you smoke that, you put a star there. Then you want some stuns, probably generator. And you put your stuff at common spots. So like in hell, you can pull in hell. And actually wallbang too, but you can just drop and kill them. So what you could do is put, you know, there's players in hell, maybe 1 or 2. You place a stun and a pull. You stun, you pull, then you drop. Free kills. Then obviously this is smoked off already. Then all your team has to really cover is Gen and the site. This part is smoked off. If you have players coming in tree, it's easy retake. And this applies for pretty much all the sites that you're going to retake in the game. So if I want to take B, well, it's the same thing. It's always the same principle. So I put down my stars at common spaces. So probably here and here, I smoke B main, which is a common spot to smoke, and then pull, stun, and now your team only has the site to clear. So this strategy works on every map pretty much. You just place stars where you think they're gonna be. You put some utility, you work with your team for the timing, and then you can have a no-man flash on site. You pull, you stun, and then it's an easy retake. So she's really good for that, to clear out angles. Now for the ultimate on retakes, again, because I don't really like using it mid-round because it's only like 20 seconds. It lasts as long as a smoke, so why not just use the smoke? So for retakes, it's really good because the enemy cannot hear what you're doing on the other side of the wall. So if you put it on the other side of the bomb and start defusing, they don't know if you started actually sticking it or not. So there's multiple walls you can do on every site, obviously. But what I like to do is cut off all possible angles. So just like this would be a nice wall. It covers up all A main and tree. So all you have to clear is hell and the site, right? But I showed you earlier that your stars are really powerful to push people off angles. So you stun, you pull in hell, you have all of this covered by the wall, which is not there anymore, but hey, that's okay. So you have all of this covered, you pull in hell, bam, you have the whole hell covered with utility. You probably have a Sova darting on site, you know where they are. If they're not here, well, they're on the other side of the wall. Your team can start defusing. They're getting nervous, they have to push you, so it's really good for that. Another way to use the wall is closer, actually, which is I'm not a big fan of, but I've seen people do it. So you can use it to like cut off the sites. So for example, I could do like something closer than earlier, which still cuts off a main and tree, but it's way closer, so you have less angles to clear at a time. You only have Gen, the box, and Hal. So you can cut off angles, just like a Viper wall would do, but like on crack. Now for offense. I like to use her as a traditional controller. I kind of scratched this whole sentinel role that I use on defense, because your traps, it doesn't work the same way. You can't watch flank with your traps. Like, it's not like a killjoy or a cypher. So you would just act like as a regular omen or a brimstone. Like, for example, if my team is pushing mid, well, you would smoke here and maybe top mid or mid, whatever. You know, depending on your team's needs. If you go for an A execute, well, you would just smoke here and here, you know. So really nothing too complicated here, just a regular smoke. But again, you need comms for the second part of the attack, which is the stuns and the pulls, because you used your smokes, but you still have utility that you can use. Obviously, you want to keep some for the post plant, because her stuff is really powerful on post plant, because the whole sentinel role kind of comes back, and the traps on the bomb are actually insane. So maybe use 1 or 2 smokes, just like a Noman would do. For example, on A, you smoke here, then I'm gonna take this back. You smoke these 2 angles, then you know there's a player in generator, because you're Sova darted, for example. Well, your Sova darts, you stun or pull. Your jet dashes in and kills the guy. You know, so you really have to work with your team for your utility to be really useful, especially on attack, because you can't just stand on the site and wait for them to push you and then pop your combo and get some massive 3k or whatever. You have to work with your team. You're probably most of the time going to be standing in the back, putting down stars for your team, and then they're going to get the kills with your utility. You're not going to be the one pushing. You're pulling, and then you're not going to be the one pushing out probably. Now for the post plan scenarios. So you want to be the most passive as possible on post plans, because your utility is so good to delay the bomb, especially with characters that can delay even more, like a killjoy. So you put down stars on the bomb. You can put down, if you still have some left, put 1 more for a smoke. But these 2 stars on the bomb are like what can deny their whole retake, if you play it right. So you have a killjoy here, probably, or you can be alone actually, and then they're gonna tap. Well, you do the same as on defense. Pull and stun, and you can peek out just like this. If you're smoked, you know they're probably not sticking it, or you can just spam actually through the smoke. So you put down a star here and here. Well, you know that if you pulled, they're gonna be here. You pull it, you spam through smoke. It's an easy kill every time. And the thing about this, which is way more powerful than Killjoy, it cannot be destroyed. They can see it, they know it's coming, but they can't destroy it. Unlike Killjoy mollies that can be destroyed. Now, if you want to be more aggressive with her, especially on maps where you can't really play far on the sites, like especially Split is a map like this, where there's not really a long angle to hold for the post plan. So you kind of have to play on site and you don't really have a choice. Well, you would put like the same kind of combos, like here and here maybe, because your team is not gonna play here. Like it's way too in the open, but you know that they have to drop. So when you hear them drop, you pull, you stun. Obviously you don't get pulled like I just did. You pull, you stun, careful not to get pulled in because you can pull yourself too. And then they're stunned here. You have people in hell probably cross-firing with you, so really good with that. But if you can just be passive and play for the long angles, I think it's the best way to play Astra on post plans. Now for the ultimate on attack. So there's 2 options that you can do. You can either use it as a beginning of the push and get an easy plant. So you would just go like this. For example, I'm pushing A. You would cut off all the angles, and then you would just go in and get clear, obviously here, but just get the plant down, and then you run back and your team plays for for their retake, and you just like kind of give them the site. Or you can push tree and gain some more control. Or if you want, actually, you can push the wall and maybe flash out of it. That's really up to you. But that's an easy plan. It's like the sage wall on Icebox on A. You just wall it, you get the plants, and then you give them a bunch of space, but you got the plants super early. But you need to be able to defend it after this. So you're gonna play passive, probably play again with your Killjoy or whatever utility that you have. You put some stars down and you just defend the diffuse. They're gonna have to push you 100%. Another wall you can do is for Postplan. Now you've taken the whole site, you've planted the bomb normally, and now you've got your ult and you want to use it to prevent them from actually pushing the site. So for the ultimate in Postplan, what I like to do is cut off like both of the angles that they're going to be. I know that the defenders are going to be coming tree and heaven. Well, I can cut off both of these angles just like this. And now they have to push here, and you can use your wall like a smoke to cut off both of the angles. And now that leaves you with more stars for the Postplan. And now you can put actually more aggressive stars and put them maybe here, because they don't know what's going on the other side of the wall, so they have to push it like, and they're absolutely clueless. So they're gonna have to flash out of it if they really want to push it. So once they flash, you can do your combo the same as defense. So all the concepts I've talked here are pretty much they're useful for every map. That's why I didn't make us like a single map like Ascent guide, because it's just like the basics on how to use your stuff. So I really hope you guys like this video. Once you know how to play Astra, obviously still early to like know all of the full extent of how she's used. We're probably gonna discover some more things that we can do with her kit later, which I'm gonna make a video about if we do find out. But once you really know how to at least use the basics of Astra and work with your team, it's a blast. It's really fun to use. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Consider subscribing and liking if you liked it. Thank you guys.